Elite police squads are ramping up the war on organised crime bosses, raiding headquarters, busting down doors and locking up foot soldiers. It's in your face. It's Viper Task Force.
The task force set up after a string of shootings between crooks. Its goal, creating hell for organised crime syndicates, street gangs and outlaw bikie clubs.
What began as a quiet Sunday morning across the Midwest turned into one of the largest organized crime crackdowns in U.S. history. Federal authorities launched a series of coordinated raids targeting a sprawling biker-run trafficking network. They called it Operation Iron Horse, a mission that would expose a hidden alliance between outlaw clubs, drug syndicates, and freight companies running across North America.
So the word was, hey, there's some banditos in Vegas. We own Nevada, and they don't have a hall pass. So we need to teach them a lesson. So we're on the way to Las Vegas from Skull Valley. You know, the way those cats ride is 100 miles an hour, 18 inches apart, 2 by 2, and there could be 10, 20, 40 dudes. And one mistake in that conga line is gonna freaking wipe out everybody. So I get a hold of Slatella and said, dude, this thing's getting ready to break bad. I'm gonna be put in a bad spot real quick. You need to freaking step in here and rescue us, because the Hells Angels told me when the banditos show up, if you don't shoot them before they get their kickstands down, we're going to shoot you. Slatella finds, with some Las Vegas Metro Police Department, finds this conga of banditos, traffic stops them, holds them. So me and these other cats show up to the conflict point, but the enemy never shows. But in the eyes of the Hells Angels, I was there. I was ready to take care of business. I walked away from that like a hero.
Before dawn, unmarked SUVs rolled into industrial districts from Chicago to California. At the same moment, doors were kicked in, clubhouses surrounded, and agents moved fast. Because these weren't small-time players. The suspects were part of a logistics web that investigators say moved millions in illegal goods disguised as legitimate freight. Agents say the operation began in Chicago, at a trucking depot on the city's south side. On the surface, it looked like any other freight yard. Forklifts, cold storage trucks, and shipments of auto parts. But hidden inside, authorities found a very different cargo. Synthetic narcotics, cash, and encrypted radios linked to biker-run transport routes. For months, intelligence units had been tracking freight manifests that didn't add up. Shipments changing routes overnight, refrigerated trucks running half-empty, drivers with club tattoos using fake IDs. Every clue pointed to something much larger than one city. When federal agents breached the Chicago warehouse, they found what one investigator called a fortress of contraband. Crates of powder, industrial scales, and weapons. Dozens of handguns and assault rifles, many loaded and ready. By sunrise, 6 suspects were dead, several wounded, and a warehouse reduced to ashes. Among the recovered items were Belgian rifles, encrypted radios, and vehicle parts traced to both U.S. and Mexican suppliers. Officials described the scene as controlled chaos, evidence of a network that mixed biker culture with cartel precision. Homeland Security task forces coordinated similar raids across 5 other states, Illinois, Indiana, California, and New York among them. Each site tied to the same biker-affiliated freight network operating under shell companies with names like Northern Haul Logistics or Midwest Freight Systems. It wasn't just drugs. It was a full logistics empire, a parallel economy built by men who once rode for freedom and brotherhood, now running a transnational business powered by violence, loyalty, and profit.
Crumbling the foundations of criminal empires.
Investigators call it the gray economy, where legal trucking routes hide criminal cargo. One truck carries legitimate freight, another carries synthetic drugs, and both have identical paperwork. That's what makes this network so dangerous. It lives inside real commerce. Financial analysts estimate the alliance moved hundreds of shipments each month, generating millions in profit. They also seized nearly $1 million in cash, dozens of luxury vehicles, and more than 60 firearms during the coordinated raids. Behind the scenes, the FBI, Homeland Security, and local task forces shared data in real time. Every seized phone, laptop, and ledger was fed into a national intelligence hub connecting biker logistics to foreign suppliers and financial networks overseas.
We've seized over 60 firearms, money, vehicles.
Gangs have now met their match, the Victoria Police Viper Task Force.
For decades, outlaw motorcycle clubs have walked a fine line between rebellion and organized crime. They began as brotherhoods of riders, anti-establishment, loyal, and fiercely independent. But over time, as profits grew, some chapters turned into business units, handling transport, security, and distribution for much larger players. Those larger players, according to investigators, were foreign drug organizations, particularly groups operating out of Mexico and Central America. The alliance made sense. Cartels had product, but lacked distribution in the U.S. Biker networks had infrastructure, trucks, warehouses, repair shops, and the plausible deniability of a legitimate business. Together, they created something almost unstoppable, a supply chain that could move drugs faster than most corporations move goods. Across California's Central Valley, 2 major biker clubhouses were raided the same day, in Modesto, San Joaquin, and Stanislaus counties. Agents seized weapons, cash, and documents citing acts of violence and suspected trafficking.
Early morning and police are planning a major assault on the Hells Angels. At 4 rendezvous points, officers prepare to simultaneously raid 4 clubhouses.
All right, let's move on.
At the Campbellfield warehouse in Melbourne, police jump the gate. This bikie brings a key to let police in the building.
Investigators say the Chicago raid was just one branch of a larger system stretching north into Canada. There, authorities discovered what they now call the Northern Pipeline, a corridor linking super labs in British Columbia to U.S. cities across the Midwest. A refrigerated truck might carry produce from Ontario to Illinois, and hidden beneath it, compressed narcotics sealed inside auto parts. For years, it ran unnoticed, hidden inside legitimate trade. Over 30 arrests followed across Ontario and Alberta, where biker chapters allegedly managed warehouses, trucking firms, and laundering fronts. Each discovery confirmed what federal analysts feared. The lines between domestic gangs and foreign cartels had blurred beyond recognition.
Oh, I'll go and knock on your door, mate.
Throwing water on our crew. A sniffer dog and forensic teams brought in. At the same time, at the Hells Angels headquarters in Alphington, it's go time. Detective Senior Sergeant Warren Chapman.
Law enforcement calls it the next phase of organized crime, decentralized, data-driven, and built for resilience. Instead of a strict hierarchy, biker chapters now operate as semi-independent franchises. Each one handles its own routes, finances, and connections while sharing the same brand and culture. That makes them harder to dismantle, because removing one cell doesn't collapse the system. Digital forensics revealed encrypted messaging apps, cryptocurrency wallets, and offshore accounts linking multiple biker-run firms to international suppliers. Investigators describe it as a hybrid network, part gang, part corporation, part logistics provider. In a sense, it's the evolution of organized crime, blending rebellion with business acumen, using highways as the new frontier of control.
Police are looking for hidden cavities or rooms that could conceal things like weapons or drugs. At the Thomastown premises, a hit. 6 weapons, including swords, seized. Back at Campbellfield, police say they uncover drug-making chemicals.
By mid-2025, Operation Iron Horse revealed another twist. The network wasn't controlled by one group alone. As authorities cracked down on the older alliances, a younger, more aggressive faction moved in. Analysts describe it as a power shift, with new traffickers exploiting the chaos to seize routes once dominated by traditional biker clubs. Where one organization built control through structure and loyalty, the new breed thrives on speed, secrecy, and digital financing. They don't wear colors or ride in formation, but they move product just as fast. Officials in both Washington and Ottawa warn that these hybrid syndicates now operate like global corporations, adapting instantly when one route is exposed. The highways, railways, and ports of North America are no longer just trade routes. They're battlegrounds.
The seizure of 60+ firearms is a significant result that will reduce things such as homicides, non-fatal shootings, and other serious crimes that are committed with firearms. Over the last 18 months or so, we've focused really on the Comanchero outlaw motorcycle gang and successfully incarcerated over 50% of the gang members attached to that club.
Federal prosecutors now describe Operation Iron Horse as one of the largest joint task force operations since the RYCO era. Over 200 charges have been filed, dozens of assets seized, and more than 6,000 open investigations remain active against transnational criminal networks. But the war isn't over. Each arrest, each raid, exposes a new layer, a new connection, a new name, another trucking firm hiding in plain sight. For law enforcement, the mission has evolved from chasing individuals to dismantling systems, the infrastructure that keeps the trade alive.
One of their biggest worries, street gangs turning to more serious crime.
What we're seeing with, in particular, youth gangs is the manipulation of them by more senior organised crime figures. They're really preying on these younger people to basically be lackeys.
But slowly, thanks to this dedicated team, the tide is turning.
The Viper task force will come knocking. It's just really a matter of when, not if.
In the end, Operation Iron Horse wasn't just about seizing drugs or cash. It was about revealing how deep modern organized crime runs, not in back alleys or secret meetings, but inside the very logistics that move America's economy. And as investigators tighten the net, one question remains. When the engines stop and the dust settles, who really controls the road? If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. It helps the channel keep investigating the stories others won't touch. Thanks for watching.